Tulina isangala chirabu na kisene, tulina isangala okuchaza abageni.
Tulina isangala chirabu na kisene, tulina isangala okuchaza abageni.
Tulina isangala chirabu na kisene, tulina isangala okuchaza abageni.
Tulina isangala chirabu na kisene, tulina isangala okuchaza abageni.
Tulina isangala olwalero, tulina isangala okuchaza abageni.
Umhlanga is the annual reed dance held in Ezulwini every year, and all the females, young females from the communities get together and they represent each of the chiefdoms, and they go down to Ezulwini and march before the king.
So at Umhlanga, it's like a girls celebrating their virginity in this culture. So they wear traditional clothing. They have, I don't know what they're called, skirts with beads, and they wear yarn, and they all march around in a big parade around the stadium, and they dance, and it's a good celebration.
So another Swazi tradition is Incwala, and it happens usually in December, and it's also called the Festival of First Fruits, and it's where the king comes, and before any of the rest of the country can participate or eat any of the harvest, the king will have the first fruits. And it's again just people dressing up in traditional Swazi wear, and the king comes and dances, and you can even participate in it if you are a male, but even women, they can come and watch and all that, and it's just a fun thing to see a tradition that's been there for hundreds of years.
The traditional wedding's really interesting, since we're used to having ours like in churches or at City Hall, the Justice of the Peace. But a traditional Swazi wedding, it's in the cattle kraal. They bring the woman in there and she's crying, and there's some exchanging. Like they put a blanket around her, and she greets the other the husband, and then like the babe and the mage, the mother and father of the person that she's marrying, and then we killed a cow and skinned it, cooked it, and ate it, and that was an interesting experience.
When I first got to my homestead, my father of the homestead paid lobola, which is the dowry in the form of cows, to his wife's family. So we all went down to Hlangano, which is a town in southern Swaziland, and there was a big party, and they slaughtered 2 cows, and he presented, I think it was 16 cows to the family of my mage, my host mother.
Yeah, well, in Swaziland we have the unfortunate opportunity to go to a lot of funerals. One that we just recently attended was for a neighbor who was a go-go who passed away, and funerals consist of the night before a night vigil where everybody from the community comes and they sing hymns, and pastors preach, and the next morning, right around sunrise, everybody walks to the gravesite, and they bury the person in the cemetery, and they have another graveside service.
Gospel music is everywhere. You hear it everywhere. And there's a couple different kinds. Some are more like what you would hear like at a church, like people like singing hymns. And then there's some where it sounds almost kind of like American R&B, but then they're obviously singing about Jesus and worship and thankfulness.
Swazi gospel music is loud and it's omnipresent, and you can't go anywhere without hearing it. And the things I don't like about it are much of it has been exported from Western, from, I don't know, America, and you hear that, but it's also very Africanized. But the traditional music is, the cool thing about Swazi traditional music is that it is very traditional. Every time they get together to play music, it is for a different event or for a ritual or something like that. And a lot of the culture of Swaziland is held within those songs. They tell stories about past kings and things like that, and warriors and acts of brave men. And so you really feel like you're getting the essence of the culture within their music.
Also everywhere. You will hear so much Swazi house music you won't know what to do. It's entertaining. It's different from the house music back home. It's a little bit more down tempo, and they use a lot of the same sampling and sequencing. But the crowd loves it, and you feed off the energy of the people. So enjoy it.
Okay. I have a love-hate relationship with Swazi house music. Sometimes it's awesome, sometimes it's really horrible. But the good house music it's distinctly African. It employs a lot of really cool polyrhythms that are kind of like not really too familiar to like Western ears, and they're really long, and they're made strictly to dance to. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Swazis really know how to dance. They're really good dancers, and they love to dance for any reason, just for fun. Yeah, be prepared to dance. Like if you're getting introduced out of school or something, afterwards when they're serving food and stuff, they'll probably start dancing, and they're gonna want you to dance. And don't be afraid that they won't care. They aren't gonna judge you. They actually don't expect you to know how to dance at all. So if you can dance, that's awesome. Swazi Handicrafts, Swazis are incredibly creative. You can give them a couple of random pieces of stuff and they'll create something out of it. I bought a mat that's made out of plastic bags that are braided together. There's grass mats. They're really good at recycling materials and reusing them into other things, and they're open to learning how to make new things. Like you can take a milk box and cut it up and make it into a little wallet.
I have been really involved in the handicrafts in Swaziland. I have learned how to make a lot of the crafts. It's one of my keys to integration, is to learn what they are doing here in Swaziland, because learning their culture shows that I'm interested in them. So I've learned how to make Swazi baskets. You go like this and sew, and it's not very hard, but not that many people know how to do it, so it's very impressive. People are very impressed when you know how to do something that is part of their culture. So I make Swazi baskets. I can make hats out of palm grass. I can make their sleeping mats. They also have other things. They have these really cool baskets that they have for the chickens to lay their eggs in that I want to learn.
The biggest culture clash I've come into in general has been like gender inequality, and like the idea of when you go to like all volunteers are supposed to go visit the chief, and the idea that a woman sits on the floor but men sit up in like their chairs, and it is a very male dominant country, and I've run into that several times, especially during training. Our host Mage, she's a wonderful woman, but she was very traditional and very, this is what the wife does, this is what the husband does, and it can be very hard to kind of feel like your own self and how you feel, and then like integrate that into the tradition, because you don't want to forget yourself, and you don't have to forget yourself, but trying to show that in a culturally appropriate manner can be very difficult.